Let us do some radio with Sean Spicer and get an understanding of where we are in this election. Tony Katz today. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. His name is Sean Spicer, former press secretary to President Trump. Was with, of course, the RNC. The Sean Spicer Show on the First. You find that all the time over there. They're doing good work. I'm the only guy I know who doesn't have a show on the First. It's terrible and just wrong. But we'll deal with that later. Sean, you did something fascinating in my view. You had made just a very simple post of an observation where you noted that in Virginia, there was a gigantic ad buy for Kamala Harris. I mean, it tied into a story that Axios had about a $50 million ad buy that the Harris campaign was doing all across the country. Virginia is not necessarily a battleground state because of Alexandria and Arlington, those areas that surround D.C. Is this just you seeing something that nobody else saw, or do you think there's a story here?
I think there could be. Look, I live in Alexandria. I've been voting here since the 90s. I think there's a little – the Real Clear Politics averages has it at 4.8%. There's been a couple that show it a lot closer. Biden won here by 10 points. Fun fact, Tony Katz, in case you ever get asked this on Trivial Pursuit, I was the last elector in Virginia, 2004. So you can use that should this ever come up.
I will try.
I was hoping to get rid of that title this year. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Virginia's going to keep them on their toes. But I'll tell you this, if you look on election night, we closed at 7 o'clock. At 9 o'clock, if you look around Prince William County, Loudoun County, Northern Virginia areas that you were referencing, and it's close. Like if she's only winning at 52, 53%, it's going to be a bad night for her big time. But we do a road to 270 every Wednesday on my show, and you go to YouTube, you mentioned the First, but if you just want to go to YouTube right now, you can always watch the last, the episodes live with us. And we're doing a special Sunday night at 7 o'clock, literally all the battleground states, one by one, starting with Arizona. And we're bringing in people from every state to say, tell me what the data on the ground is. What's the early vote? What's the absentee vote? What's the registration? Because I think, too often we get caught up in these, the national this and that. And the reality is it's all about what's happening on the ground. Right now, when I did this yesterday, I have a Trump at 306 electoral votes. Does that mean that he's going to win with that? No, I don't have Nevada with him right now. Could that change? Sure. There's still movement that could occur. But to your point, I think that the Harris campaign went from coming out of a convention where they were – It was all vibes. They were running with it.
All joy, so much joy.
It's so much joy. And now that car ran out of gas, if you want to, find a apt analogy.
But so I believe this to be true. And on that idea of 306 electoral votes, you have Wisconsin going with Trump. You have him taking the blue wall. Real Clear Politics has Wisconsin still going with Kamala Harris, which would put him at 296. And I think that map right now is the most accurate representation of where we are. But the idea that the Harris vibe joy machine ran out of gas, how does that happen? You've played this on the inside, and when a tactic maybe doesn't work anymore, so there's two things.
Yeah, there's two things. Let me just explain my analysis on the blue wall. It's not like, would I love them to win all the states? Yeah, but I'm not just throwing this out there because the day after the election, either they're going to say it was spectacularly wrong or right. I'm looking at the data and the trends, right? So one poll is a snapshot in time. 10 polls is a trend. And what I'm looking at is the voter registration numbers, the data, which show it was with Kamala coming out of the convention. It was with Kamala, and started to tie and then trend towards Trump. When you're in politics for the last few weeks, you want to be riding the wave into the beach for the last, say, 20 days. You don't want to be on the beach holding it back, or to use a football analogy, you don't want to be playing prevent defense, right? You don't want to have a touchdown and just saying, let's just not let them get into the end zone. That's not a good place to be. You want to be surging. And she stalled out, and Trump is surging at the right time. Could that change? Yeah, there's 3 weeks left, man. I'm not trying to say that this is fait accompli. Right. The problem is, they pushed Biden out. People didn't want him. They put someone in new, and people said, thanks, I needed something new. And they became what they call Kamala curious. Okay, I don't know much about this woman. She's not Joe Biden. She can climb stairs. That's a good start. And then they said, okay, tell me a little bit about you. And she said, I grew up in a middle-class family with Mamala above me. And they were like, okay, tell me a little bit more. And she was like, I grew up in a middle-class family with, and it was like, wait, okay, like, I wanted to know a little bit about you. And in the week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks afterwards, all they've learned about her was you flip-flopped on every issue. You don't really have any details. You say that you're going to do everything the same as Joe Biden. So I don't know how curious I am anymore. Like I was willing to give you a shot. And I think that's the problem. When I say they ran out of gas, people were like, okay, I'll get in the car. I'll ride with you because you're not Joe Biden.
Right.
But at a certain point, they were like, God, I don't know that I want to be in this car anymore.
Talking to Sean Spicer, the Sean Spicer Show. Catch it on the first. Of course, check out the YouTube channel, and you can find him on Twitter X as well. This now, let's move it over to President Trump. The argument was that after the assassination attempt, maybe we'd see a gentler President Trump. And we did for the first 20 minutes of the RNC acceptance speech, and then it was classic Trump. And then it was classic Trump until the debate. The debate wasn't great. He didn't Biden the thing. He just didn't do as well as he could have done. I put forth to you, and you know the man far better than I do, that he is looser since the debate. He is more relaxed since the debate. He is more joyous since the debate. Going on these other podcasts that are comic run, whether it's Theo Von or Andrew Schultz the other day, he's having a good time. And that is showing, and I think that's leading to opportunities for him. Do you see him as looser, or has there been a strategy change since Corey Lewandowski came on?
Oh, well, Corey's on his way out.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't give Corey. I mean, Corey deserves zero credit for anything. I mean, just to be blunt. I mean, Trump. Look, first of all, I talked to him a couple of weeks ago, and let's just not forget that going through a near-death experience where someone tries to shoot you, hits you, you get rushed to the hospital, and then 2 weeks later you find out that someone's still trying to kill you. That's got to mess with your head and set your I mean, and I think it recalibrates your priorities, just to be clear. Like, I can't imagine what's going through his head. And I talked to him. He was joking, and that's just how he is. But I think that it resets your priorities. I mean, it just, when you come that close to death. So to answer your question, I think that, like, if you look back at 2016, for the last 4 or 5 weeks of 2016, he was pitch perfect. And I think he gets into a groove, right? And he's gotten into it. He's gotten back into his groove. I think the debate, you're right, was not his best night because to be blunt, he took the bait. She knew exactly what she was doing. Exactly. Yeah. She kept baiting him. You know, it was like this. I kept going. It was 1, 2, 3, 4. Your tie sucks. And he'd be like, I have the greatest ties ever. It's an amazing tie. And she kept doing, I mean, she was like 1, 2, 3, 4. Your hair's messed up. And he's like, I have the greatest hair. And it was like, she knew what she was doing, which was punch, punch, punch. Then I'm going to hit you with something that you're going to respond to. And JD was fantastic in his debate. He wouldn't take the bait. That being said, look, he's got a great closing argument. My record and my results speak for themselves. Her record and her results suck. And I think down the stretch is when people who've been on the sidelines have to come off, right? There's a certain point at which you say, and this is where I go back to my last answer. I was Kamala curious. I wanted to give her a shot. I know everything about Trump. I didn't really know anything about her. But it's like everything I found out about her, I don't like. And I'm going back to what I know. And what I know is the country was stronger, the border was secure, we were energy independent, and there was less chaos overseas.
So if we take that as the truism, right? People got a chance to learn about Kamala Harris, and Kamala Harris gave them nothing to learn about. You still have to run 26, 27 days, however many days it is.
26.
26, thank you, of a campaign. You're them. How do you do it?
Well, this is actually, you're asking a really good question, because I'm not in the business of giving them advice, none that I want them to take anyway. But here's my point. At some point, let the dogs run free, right? Say to Kamala, go be yourself. Let's go out there. Let's do some town halls. Let's mix it up. Let's be you. Because everything else is not working. She did a media blitz, right? The goal of a media blitz is to get more people to vote for you, to get them to know more about you. And the only clip that came out of the big quote media blitz was her going out of the View that the Trump campaign is subsequently making into an ad that says she won't do anything different than Joe Biden. Thank you, Kamala. Right? She has not done herself any favors on a media blitz. And that's a problem. So at some point, just take it off and say, you know what? We had nothing to lose. Let's do a series of town halls and see if something can happen.
In places that you would give advice to the Trump team, is there anything that you would change in the next 3 weeks, or anything you would add in the next 3 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that, like I said, he's on the precipice of winning all of these battleground states. The only one that I don't see him pulling out right now is Nevada, right? So, but all he needs to do is pick off one of the blue wall states, Michigan, Wisconsin, or Pennsylvania. So I would literally just park myself in those 3 states for the next 26 days and never leave. And stay on message and repeat over and over again. Here's my record. Here's my record. Here's my record. Because these people that are coming off the sidelines at the very end are the ones that you need. You also need the get out the vote, folks. You need people knocking on. So you want to motivate them. You want them knocking on doors, making phone calls. So I would just park myself in 3 states and say nothing but here's my record, here's hers, here's my record. And don't talk about her personality. Don't talk about her husband. Don't talk about Timmy. And that's the problem. Sometimes we really want, like Tim Walz drives me nuts how much he's lied. Yeah. But the bottom line is no one cares. No one's voting for Timmy. And so don't take the bait. Don't talk about Timmy. It's about her. She's got a horrible record. She's going to take this country in the worst possible places in so many areas. And frankly, I care about her. The one thing I would say is I truly do worry about the safety and security in our country under her. And so if I were them, I would repeat those kind of messages and make people think about that kind of stuff in these final days.
Sean Spicer, the Sean Spicer Show. He spells it SEAN, in case you didn't know. It's at The First. It's at YouTube. And if you've never caught the books, Radical Nation, The Briefing, and the book for kids, The Parrots Go Bananas, which somewhere I have a copy of. You might want to get that as well. Sean, an absolute pleasure as always. More is coming up. I'm Tony Katz.